Hello everyone, I'd like to welcome you to my new YouTube channel called The Thrift Guy. And I can tell you what, that reselling has been really good to me. I get to enjoy this beautiful location, come out here and just share it with you. But this is what can happen when you resell full time. Get to live in places like this. I'm just gonna switch the camera around. Yeah, this is what you get. Work hard. This is where you can live. Except this isn't my house. I actually don't even know who lives here. I hope they don't come home before I leave, because that would be really awkward. Actually, I'm at my sister's house in Palm Coast, Florida. She and her husband are so gracious to allow our family to use their vacation home here in central North Florida. So anyway, it is a gorgeous place. My family and I are up here a few days. Share with you a little bit more of my story, especially in the past 90 days. On April 30th, I closed down my thrift center called Green and Free Thrift Center for the last time. And we're approaching now 90 days closed. And the significance there is this. I've been an online reseller for 24 years. But this is the first time that I am reselling full-time online. I have no other source of income except reselling, and 99% of it is online. I will do a few local sales now and again whenever I come across something that I don't ship on eBay, and that is my primary selling platform is eBay. So it's been a transition. Like I said, we're approaching about 90 days out, and it's been a learning curve. And so I want to share real quickly the good, the bad, and the ugly. I want to make sure that I do not fall off the back of the dock, because that is not how I want to get likes and subscribers on YouTube. So this is the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good part of it is this. It was simply a financial decision. Our sales had never recovered from last off season, which typically in Florida, after Easter of every year, all of the snowbirds leave, everybody goes back to New York, Canada, and wherever they've come from, and retail sales go just basically into the toilet. They fall they just fall down. And 2023 was a very difficult summer. But the thing about our sales were they never recovered. Our store sales never really recovered in the season, to the point that in February, when I looked at my bank account, it was the first time in 8 years that our account finished in the red, our business account finished in the red, and I just knew. And March was actually worse than February. And I knew if these are the kind of numbers that we're getting in season, at the height of season, when people are supposed to be spending money, I knew the summer was going to be really rough. It's going to be worse than it was in 2023. So I knew it was time to close up shop. And just the bills that I had to pay to keep the doors open fell from like $7,300 a month to finally, when all the dust settles, it'll come to be around $1,200 a month, and that's a lot more manageable. Those numbers did not include payroll, did not include my insurances and my taxes and stuff. So it is a remarkable savings of moving from a large brick and mortar to a smaller situation, where I moved from 3,500 square feet, which arguably was packed with probably 36 or about 6,000 square feet of stuff, and into a 480 square foot storage unit. So I downsized dramatically. So that was a good part of it. It's just been it's the right financial move to make at the time. We were in that location for 8 years, so for all intents and purposes, it was a success. I was proud of the 8 years that we put in. So, but here's the bad part of it. It's the customers. I miss the daily interaction with the customers. Even the customers there, we had customers that would come in and literally just talk. They would rarely buy anything, and they were just coming. It was their place to come and have conversation with people. And we had people who came almost every day and bought something, and they would talk, and we had great conversations. I really miss the people, and so that's the bad part of it. Is just when I made the decision to close the store, I didn't realize how much it was going to affect so many people. I knew it was going to affect my family the most because of the drastic change of our lifestyle, and just how everything, and that had good things and bad things in it, I suppose. But we had customers towards the end walking out when they knew it was going to be their last time to walk out of the store. They were walking out with tears in their eyes, and we were giving people hugs, and it was just we had built a little community there, and it was just really cool. And so I would say that that was the bad part of it. Um, just how it impacted so many people. At the end, we had people telling us that they literally only came to our thrift store. They didn't have anywhere else to go, and these are the customers that we actually had a lot of conversations with, and the whole 9 yards. So it's just, it was tough, but that's the bad part of it. So here's the ugly part of it. When you think about transitioning into a brick and mortar, that you're using online sales to supplement your revenue, to going in 100% online sales being 100% of your revenue, you're jumping in, you're feet first or head first, whatever you want to call it. During the time we were closing our store, here's the ugly part of it. I had an issue with an employee that I had to let go. And because of that, our online sales just plummeted through the floor. Our listings went down. I actually went through a period in March, late March, early April, where I went over 2 weeks, I think, without listing one item. We went from having 5 or 6 or 7 items listed a day, some listed each day, sometimes more, to 0 for like 2.5 weeks. My sales went through the floor. And on top of that, because of the chaos of having to close down this store that's been in business for 8 years in the same location, and just the sheer amount of stuff that we had to move, things started getting lost in inventory, and I just indiscriminately started canceling orders on eBay because I couldn't find them, and I wasn't thinking about the ramifications of the canceled orders. And I racked up, I believe, since the begin, from the second week of March till the first week of April, I racked up, I want to say 13 or 14 cancellations in that amount of time. And you would know it. I got a notice when my evaluation was coming up. I was a top rated seller at that time, and I got the notification that said, you are your next evaluation, you'll be above seller. So my seller rating was going to go from top seller to above seller. The saving grace was, even though I was canceling so many items, we had listed so many items before, the percentages still kept me above that above seller mark, which is I think it's 1.5, or no, it's a 3. It kept me below that magic number of 3%. I got up to 2.03%, and so I was going to go be demoted to above seller, which doesn't sound bad, right? Because you can survive. But here's the kicker, and this is where the ugly part came in. And when I tell you stress and anxiety, and I'm not a person to necessarily deal with anxiety I've been blessed in that regard, but the stress and anxiety I felt because where it said, your seller status, there was a little exclamation point in a red circle. And I know what that means. You got to click on it. I clicked on it, and it said, your account is in danger of falling below standard. And when I read that, my heart just was like, this cannot be happening. To say that I had stress and anxiety during that time was an understatement. And so that was the ugly part of the transition. And I'm going to share in another video how there are some specific things that I did to increase my sales, lower my cancellations, and even after this, I kind of came up with a little trick to avoid cancellations, even on items that I could not find. One of the reasons why I ran into this problem is because in this chaos, everything was getting moved around, even our inventory area was getting moved. And so before we moved, we had to get all of our inventory out, and in that process, we just misplaced inventory. It was just chaos, to say the least. and we were misplacing packages. You know, it just got out of control. And so that's one of the things that really was difficult. That was the ugly part of closing the store. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to share how I overcame that. But with that said, if you're in that position of having a brick and mortar and you're contemplating closing your brick and mortar and going all online, it is doable. It is doable. Now, I'm only 90 days in. I'm experiencing the summer slowdown like everyone else is. But hey, I want to say that if you're in my position and you've owned a thrift store, you've owned or you're in a position where you're contemplating going all online, and you're wondering about closing that thrift store, I get it. It's a huge emotional process that you go through, and just take your time with it. You have more sweat and blood into your small business than anybody else, and no one can understand that. I can understand a little bit because I had my own sweat and blood in this, but you're not alone in that. And you just trust yourself, especially if you've had a store for 4, 5, or 6 years, or you've been in the business. Listen, you've done well to survive everything that you've done. You have made it this far. Don't think you're going to let yourself down. Just remember what has gotten you to where you are and move forward. Make that decision, whatever decision you make. If you decide to keep your store open and say, man, I got this, then you make that decision and you do everything that you need to do to keep that store open. You start making changes in lifestyle. You start making changes, whatever changes you need to make them. If you say, hey, it's time for me to close the doors, it's a huge mourning process, and I get it, and I want you to know that is just a part of the process. Allow it to happen, but close those doors. And when you close those doors, know what your plan is, and then you live your life according to that decision that you've made, and you're going to make it because you've already made it this far. Nothing's going to stop you now. So guys, that's where I'm at. It's been a fun ride with Green and Free Thrift Center, and if you are a former customer of mine, just know, please know, I do miss you guys. I miss the whole experience of Green and Free Thrift Center. I realized we had something special, and who knows what the future holds, but right now, this is where I am. And listen, until we see each other out here, well, not here, because I'm going to back away, let you see it one more time. It's just a beautiful deep water canal back here. But until we see each other again here on the Thrift Guy, and please remember, if you've liked anything that I've said today, or you're interested in what I might say in the future, please hit the like and subscribe button. If you could share it with your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. But until we see each other here at the Thrift Guy, be safe and make today great.